tells Sam to see for himself. And Sam gets his first look at one of the Benders, who are just people. And then Sam says, I'll be damned, because everything that Dean does, Sam must also do.
Yeah, you have to know that connection between them. Like, they're always, like, apart, but they always say the exact same thing. And can we just talk about the fact that he was so confused about it, too?
Yeah, he was not expecting it to just be people.
It's like, oh my gosh, plot twist. This is an episode of Criminal Minds.
Alvin says he's just waiting for Ned Beatty time, which is a reference that I wish I'd just let slide by unaddressed, because it's pretty graphic. It's a reference to the movie Deliverance, where Ned Beatty is sexually assaulted by murderous rednecks.
Oh, right. Yeah, I knew
well,
that.
I wish I hadn't looked that one up.
Yeah, I've never seen Deliverance. I don't
Me
really plan
neither.
to, but I did know about that.
I didn't know about that. That was a detail I could have gone without. Sam says that should be the least of their fears, but I don't know. I think Alan's fear is pretty valid, given the situation that they're in.
Yeah.
Kidnapped by murderous rednecks. People don't just start with, like, heavy-duty cages in their basement. Like, these people clearly have experience with whatever it is that they are planning to do.
Don't listen to Sam. He's desensitized.
Yeah. Sam is back to trying to break out, because he has determination.
Woohoo.
Dean and Officer Kathleen are driving, and she says that the next traffic cam is 50 miles away, and the camper didn't pass that, so Sam is somewhere between those 2 points, but there's no public roads on the map. This partnership is going super well, except Officer Kathleen did her homework, and police vehicles have computers in them, and she pulled up the fake state police info that Dean gave her, and Gregory Washington's badge was stolen, and Gregory Washington is also a black man, and Dean is very clearly not that.
And should have gotten a better deal at the partner shop.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I hope that the real Gregory Washington's okay.
Yeah.
And I hope he doesn't get in too much trouble for his badge being used. And I hope Officer Kathleen didn't get in trouble for not noticing sooner.
And then he was also like, I also got the Michael Jackson skin disease thing going on. I was like, oh my goodness. I thought all he knew was rock music.
What a 2006 reference, honestly.
Also, Michael Jackson also looked like that because of a whole bunch of plastic surgery. So, Dean.
He had some stuff going on. I don't care to speak on Michael Jackson.
I'm not really an expert, but come on, Dean.
Dean says that he really needs them to find Sam before he gets arrested. Like, he's totally fine that he's gonna get arrested. And he tells her that when they were young, he pretty much pulled Sam from a fire, and since then he's felt a responsibility to keep Sam safe. He begs her to help find him, and she says that she has to take him in, but then she looks at a photo clip to her visor, and she agrees to find Sam and then arrest him.
Aw, yay.
And then we're back with Sam and Alvin is being very pessimistic about Sam's escape attempt, which is not helpful. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Let Sam do this in peace.
I mean, if you've been kidnapped and, like, kept in a cage by creepy rednecks, I'd be pretty pessimistic too, but it's not fun to watch.
He's been there for a week, so I guess that's fair. He's over the experience. But, like, just let Sam do his thing.
Probably like, I'm tired of this. How can we get away from here? I'm done with life right now.
Yeah, exactly. Sam insists on not being called Sammy, which is funny. And then he pulls down a bracket and some other stuff. Sam's precious bracket. Whatever he does, Alvin's cage opens and he gets out, and Sam warns him to get back in, says it doesn't feel right. It was too easy. Breaking off that bracket shouldn't have opened the cage. And Sam tries to stop him from leaving, but Alvin Jenkins is peacing out. He's not care to stick around.
Funny that we said he was done with life, because, yeah, he's gonna be done with a lot of things soon.
He makes it outside and around the house, and he finds a knife on the ground, and then takes off running, but soon is accosted by some men with spears, because why not spears?
It feels pure if you're a creep.
Ugh. Alvin thinks he's free for about 2 seconds before he takes a knife through the thigh and stumbles off to a tripwire, and then is stabbed to death with the spears.
Which is probably the most disturbing scene in the episode.
Sam hears the screaming and knows he was right about it being a trap, and just has to listen, and it's terrible.
It's lovely.
We know that Sam has nightmares about some of the stuff they've seen. I guarantee this is one of them.
Yeah.
Probably. But, like, another thing is that, oh my gosh, I just thought of it. Oh, he could have opened up that thing, considering that Sam just, like, quote-unquote saved him, but, like, he ended up dying because of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, like, hilarious, because later in the episode, Dean also gets trapped, and it's like, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, the rules don't seem to apply the same to them as it does to everyone else. Dean and Kathleen are getting coffee.
Oh my gosh, their names rhyme.
I also noticed that for the first time after I said that.
It was meant to be.
They are getting coffee, and he says he doesn't mean to press his luck, to which she responds, "Your luck is so pressed. Give this woman a medal." I love her. This woman was definitely Donna's mentor. This is the woman who trained Donna.
I love it.
Dean asks her why she decided to help him, and she tells him that her brother Riley disappeared 3 years earlier and was never found, and she wants him to find Sam because she never found her brother.
Aw.
That makes me sad. Her car says Hibbing County Sheriff's on the side of it, but Hibbing, Minnesota is in St. Louis County, so that's a mistake. It's a little mistake, though. It's fine.
Yeah, we can let it slide.
Dean spots a turn off into a private road. It's the first that they've seen so far, and she says that she'll go check it out alone. And he tries to argue, and she says, "You're a civilian and a felon, I think. I'm not taking you with me." I looked it up because I'm extra like that. Under Minnesota law, impersonating an officer is a misdemeanor. In this case, it'd be a gross misdemeanor because of what he did with that identity. If you do it again within 5 years, then it's a felony. So if he gets caught again in Minnesota, that would be a felony. Assuming that she charged him with the misdemeanor, which she does not do.
Fun, but he is a felon.
He is a felon,
whatever.
technically, so. She makes Dean promise not to get involved, which he very clearly was lying when he agreed to, and she knows it, and she handcuffs him to her car and leaves him there.
What a legend.
Yes. Officer Kathleen was on such a good roll until she does the right thing. Because she goes up this private road, and she finds the house, and she walks right up to the door and knocks on the door like you're supposed to do as a cop, but it's not good for her because friggin' Missy Bender, Child of Nightmares, answers the door.
She's literally got bones in her hair.
It's either gonna be Missy or Missy Bender, Child of Nightmares.
Oh my gosh. Just you see this child and you think, oh my gosh, what cave did you crawl out of?
I mean, yeah, she's just terrifying. Missy tells Officer Kathleen that her mom is dead and her dad's not there, and then Kathleen asks if she's seen Sam, and she has a picture of Sam. Missy looks at the picture and then smiles and says, "That's gonna hurt," and Officer Kathleen is hit by a shovel by Pa Bender, who we don't get a name, so I just call him Pa Bender.
Yeah.
Who sends Missy to get her brothers. Dean uses the antenna from the car to get out of his handcuffs, like, just in time as the Benders come to get Officer Kathleen's car and put it with all of the other cars from all their other victims. I wonder how far away Sam was actually standing from the Impala, because we saw him, like, at the Impala, but they didn't take the Impala with them.
Yeah, that's true.
It's interesting, because maybe it's just because of, like, where they picked Sam up. They're like, well, he's already parked, it's fine.
Yeah, they don't really need to hide his car.
I don't know.
Or maybe they just didn't really connect him with the car.
Maybe Sam had moved away from the car when they tried to grab him, who knows? And they didn't know, like, which car belonged to him, I don't know.
Can we also add to the fact that you're able to track down cop cars? So, like, the police down at her police station, they would have been able to find her car and come rescue.
Oh yeah, this thing definitely has LoJack on it.
So the Benders would have been caught either way.
Unless they somehow knew how to take that out, which I mean, I don't doubt either, but...
And they've got that cage system wired up, so I guess they're not just dumb rednecks.
Not totally, anyways. Officer Kathleen wakes up in the cage that Alvin was in before, and Sam is still there. He's happy to hear that his cousin is looking for him. Luckily, Dean arrives like 3 seconds later. Surprised to hear that also that it's just people doing this. He asks how people could have jumped Sam and says, "You're getting rusty there, kiddo," which comes back later as well.
In Sam's defense, lots of people have a tough time when they're being dragged by the ankles.
Dean's not about to fare any better against the Benders, and he knew that they were going to attack him, so I think give Sam some credit, honestly.
Yeah.
Dean says that he saw a car that matches the description of Riley's, Officer Kathleen's missing brother, so kind of confirms that the Benders killed him, which is sad.
Yeah.
Dean goes to look for the key to control the opening the cages. The Benders keep all kinds of trophies, to which Dean says demons that get people are crazy, which is a pretty famous line.
I think I saw like a jawbone hanging from their ceiling.
It's really, there's all kinds of weird friggin' stuff in here. It's really disturbing.
If you just like look at the set dressing, there must have been a lot of work trying to make this place look like a serial killer's lair.
It's gross. Dean was sneaking around. He got around Pa Bender, but he comes around like a corner and Missy Bender is just there.
I mean, Pa Bender was like doing stuff in the sink, I think. Like, it's just the creepiest noises.
Yeah, all of it is gross. I skipped over a lot of it because the details weren't worth mentioning.
They're nightmare inducing.
Missy stabs Dean and then starts screaming for her dad, who promptly starts kicking Dean's ass. He did not stand a chance in this fight, really. Dean wakes up tied to a chair, surrounded by the surprisingly chatter Bender family. I personally would split this Q&A session up between the two brothers. It's not like hunting people. The fact that they hunt people is some big revelation this moment. It's been like 15 full minutes since we saw them hunt down Alvin Jenkins. So I would have, like, they've had Sam in a cage for literally days at this point and not even said like 2 words to him. But like now they've got Dean tied up and it's like a psycho redneck tea party. They're just spilling tea.
Woo!
So I think I like, as a writing perspective, I would have had a couple scenes where they were talking to Sam while he was in the cage. Personally, that would have been my preference, just to split this up a little bit, but they didn't, and that's fine.
I don't know, maybe Dean's different because he broke in there.
Maybe, I don't know. Dean is asked if he's ever killed before, and he says that depends on what you mean. I think indicating Dean's only ever killed monsters up to this point, which I'm not sure that really reflects Dean's views on the value of human life, but I don't know. It's still season 1. We don't know much yet about what else the Winchesters have hunted besides what we've seen in these 15 episodes. We're gonna get a little philosophical here because the Benders are like the opposite of the Winchesters in like so many ways, because in some ways they're kind of similar. Pa Bender begins waxing on about the generations of hunting his family has done. This is season 1, so we don't know much about the Winchesters' ancestors beyond John, but let's just say for now that they also come from a fairly long line of hunters. At the very least, have also been hunting all their lives, same as Pa Bender. Meanwhile, Pa Bender is elated to be talking about what it's like to hunt down and kill another human being, while one of Dean's main character motivations is saving and preserving human life. He's so disgusted that that human life includes this like horrible family.
Oh man,
these are the people I've been trying to save. No, not really, but
I do like this parallel between the Winchesters and the Benders, though.
Yes.
Like just multi-generational hunters.
Whereas like for the Winchesters, it's like a calling to do something good for the world and get revenge. And then for the Benders, it's just like pure sport, and it's horrible.
Also, the Benders are like stationary. They set up shop in one place, and the Winchesters are always moving around.
Pa Bender says that they only hunt 1 or 2 people a year to avoid the law, to which I say 1 missing person ever should be enough to bring down the law. Let alone 1 or 2 a year. That is insane. Also, your psycho sons clearly cannot count Pa Bender, because Alvin and Sam were taken a week apart, which is very close. Now you've also got a police officer in your basement. No one else is going to come looking for Sam or Dean. I mean, John might realize in like a year that they've stopped calling. But still, that's 4 people in a 2-week period. That is not 1 or 2 a year. That's already double your max.
They got cocky.
Honestly. Even just, why did they take Sam? Like, why?
They liked his shoes.
They just took Alvin Jenkins. I hadn't even hunted him yet. And they stole Sam. They only take 1 or 2 people a year. Why not wait like 6 months?
They got stupid.
It's fine. It's fine. They got overconfident in their abilities. Dean says eat me because they can't say fuck on the CW. But it's funny here because then he says, no, wait, you actually might, which I think is amazing.
they don't deny it, which really freaks me out.
It's really bad.
We also love that Dean always has to make like those silly little comments like every 10 minutes of every single episode. Is great.
I was in a live last night where this exact thing was being talked about, where in some of the later seasons, like post season 4, Dean he doesn't stop doing this, but it becomes so much less frequent than it was in these first 3 seasons, because of the trauma that happens to Dean between seasons 3 and 4 that we aren't going to talk about right now.
Yay.
But yeah, in seasons 1 to 3, Dean, every other like sentence is something funny, and he always has to have like a snippy comment, which is enjoyable for me. I love that about him.
He keeps things a bit lighter.
Yeah.
And it's always during like the most serious moments too.
Yeah, it's to lighten the mood. I think we've talked a lot on this podcast about how like Dean can't deal with like intense moments, like emotions or like, tension. So like, yeah, humor is his way of diffusing all of that and not dealing with it.
Might be a way of also trying to maintain some control over the situation.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to like these moments where he's like tied up to a chair and like in danger of being killed, like it also buys time.
Yeah, that too.
It's like a strategy to buy time. Pa Bender says that Dean brought this down on his family as though you didn't snatch his brother right from the parking lot. Also tells Dean to choose who they hunt tonight. I assume that they only have 2 cages and wisely feel that Dean needs to be contained. That's my assumption. They're like, we gotta hunt one of these people so we can put Dean somewhere. Also stabs Dean with a hot poker and threatens to stick it in his eye, which I'm really glad that they didn't do. Not just because Dean would then have a hot poker in his eye, but because eyes make me very squeamish. I was really uncomfortable with this whole shot where it's like a really close up and the hot poker is like reflecting off of Dean's eye is very cool looking, but I don't like eyes.
No, oh gosh.
I don't like the idea of eyes being poked in any way, and this was intense for me.
Just like faces and hands. I can't do it at all.
Jensen has very pretty eyes though, so good for him for this eye close up, and it looked cool, but no.
Those are very pretty eyes you have there. It'd be a shame to lose one of them.
Dean picks Sam to hunt because he feels that Sam's got a fighting